Hello guys, welcome back. Now today, we're going to talk about one of the best 2019 NHL draft prospects, Bowen Byram. Now Bowen Byram is a 17-year-old defenseman who is left-handed, is 6 foot, has 179 pounds, and was born in Cranbrook, British Columbia. And of course, as he's a defenseman, it's pretty interesting because as we look towards the next 2019 NHL draft, it's pretty weak, really weak compared to a lot of other drafts when it comes to defensemen. But Bowen Byram is one of the exceptions. And of course, a lot of other people think he's the best defenseman in the NHL draft. I think he's the best defenseman in 2019 NHL draft. So let's figure out why that is. In the 2017-28 season in the WHL this season, he played 60 games. Well, I'm pretty sure the Vancouver Giants. He had 6 goals, 21 assists for 27 points. In the World Junior Championships, he played 5 games and had 1 assist. But the thing that makes this really good, the numbers aren't really too explosive. But the thing you gotta realize is he was 16-year-old in both the World Junior Championships and in the WHL. And in the World Junior Championships, he was playing on the U18 team. So he was playing against other older players as well. And the same thing goes in the WHL. He's considered as a 16-year-old, and he just turned 17, I think this is past June. So again, he's just newly turned 17, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. With Byram, he was playing against all these 18-year-old, 19-year-olds in the WHL, 17-year-olds, but he was a 16-year-old, he just comes in, but plays really well for what he was put in, what the situation he was put in, and of course Vancouver Giants aren't the best team, so he was playing fantastic against not great teammates. And of course, the World Junior Championships he'll get to play next year, but in this season he got a good time with Ty Smith, who was just drafted, of course, in the 2018 NHL draft for the New Jersey Devils. So he's got some experience with some good line-mates and some guys that have been in the flow, in the system of the NHL draft. And of course, he's going to get next season, and he's looking to be one of the top guys. And another thing that shows how good he was Bowen Byram, of course, in WHL with the Vancouver Giants. His teammate Ty Ronning called him an alien on the ice sometimes. I think in a good way, not with his looks, I think with his talent, but I feel like that transitions to, some good talent there. And obviously, if your teammates really like you, if your teammates think you're really good, you're likely very good. Now, he was so good that he was ranked 2nd in WHL Rookie of the Year voting, right behind Dylan Cousins, who I will make a future video about, but he was ranked 2nd overall as a second team, or as a 16-year-old. So he's been making big strides. And while he wasn't the best guy points-wise as a for defenseman, he wasn't the best guy overall. He was still one of the most impressive guys when it comes to his age and when it comes to the teammates that he had. Now, Byram's biggest strength is his offense. His passing is amazing, as we see with the stats. 21 assists is pretty good for a 16-year-old. His shot is pretty good. He's shown that before. But his defense needs a little bit of work. That's probably his biggest thing. His awareness is not that great defensively. Offensively, it's pretty spot on. But defensively, he needs some work, and that's definitely his biggest lackluster strength. With offense, that's his biggest thing. That's his biggest weapon. And of course, with Byram, what he's been making a name for himself with is that shot, with that passing, with the overall offensive awareness. He's making a name for himself there, and not quite on the defense. If he can work that up in the next WHL season, continue some solid WHL play. Defensively, I think he could use some work, and of course, he's got one more year before he gets drafted, and that's a perfect opportunity to work on it. And of course, if he continues to play well in WHL, continues to get points, keep that rising, but most importantly, work on his defense, work on his overall play, he'll definitely be in the same spot as right now, and possibly even better. I feel like that 3rd spot is wide open right now. I feel like it's Jack Hughes, Capo Caco, and possibly there's a spot there for Byram to slot into that 3rd spot. Of course, there's not that many defensemen in this draft, so having that stock rise because he's a defenseman, I think is definitely going to happen. It'll depend on how he plays, but I feel like he has a good shot at getting at least number 3. Now, Bowen Byram is a general position in the 2018 mock draft, or 2019 for mock drafts, is around that 5th position, but I've seen him go, number 3 to number 6. I've seen him a little in that area, 3 to 6, but most importantly, I've seen him multiple times in that 5 spot. And I think right now, that's where he's in as terms of other guys. You got Payne Krebs, you got Jack Hughes, you got Capo Caco, you got some other guys there, but I feel like right in that 5th spot is right around the sweet spot for him. If he continues to play well in the WHL next season, he'll definitely improve, but right now, I feel like 5 is definitely a good position for him. Being top 5, I feel like he's definitely worth that. And of course, as I said before, because he's a defenseman and it's a pretty weak draft when it comes to defensemen, it'll definitely improve his draft stock if he continues to play well, if he continues to develop that defense. If he just plays well, plays steady, he can definitely see a rise in the draft stock because he's that defenseman, and a lot of teams do need that. When we look towards other defensemen, arguably the second best guy is Antoni Honka, who is in that 10 to 15 range. So again, it's a pretty weak draft when it comes to defensemen. There aren't a lot of guys, but when it comes to quality, Byram is definitely that, and he's definitely the best one here. Now, of course, things can change. We're still a year out from the draft, but Byram has looked like the best potential guy, best offensive potential guy, and the best all-around guy going into that 2019 draft next season if he continues to play well defensively, continues to improve on that offense as well. I feel like he's going to be a sure bet for that top 5 position, and arguably even better than that. He could be a top 3 guy when it's all said and done. And again, kind of like Capo Catco, Bowen Byram is an amazing name, and this draft looks to be having some star talent when it comes to very, very weird names. But of course, having a weird name just makes me more interested in you as a player, and Bowen Byram is certainly an interesting name, and awesomely a great player. He has shown the offensive talent, he's shown overall play. He needs to work on his defense for sure, but at this point, he's looking like the best defenseman by far, and he's looking to be one of the best guys in the draft, period, on a pretty weak defensive draft. But right now, I feel like Byram's position in that top 5 spot is a lock. And right now, unless he doesn't really improve, unless he doesn't really show that he's made of that, I feel like right now he's one of the sure bets to be in that top 5. As a defenseman, he definitely has a lot of value there. And of course, one more season in WHL will only improve his draft stock. I feel like it's nowhere else but up for him. He has a lot of potential in the WHL this season. I feel like there's going to be a lot of guys looking out for Byram because I feel like he's going to have another breakout year. He's going to improve on that offense, going to also work on that defense, but most importantly, I feel like he'll be one of the best WHL defensemen in the league next year. I feel like he'll show that potential next year, and he'll show that overall play. And from what he's shown the final reels, what other people have said about him, what his teammates said about him, he definitely deserves that ranking as a top 5 type guy going into the 2019 draft as the best defenseman right now going into the 2019 draft. He definitely has deserved that. He's worked hard for that, and he's definitely shown the talents. He just needs to keep doing that, and he'll get it sooner or later. But overall, Byram is a very, very great offensive talent defenseman going into the 2019 draft. He's shown the talent, and he's shown the stock in the draft already as a top 5 type guy, and he's definitely shown that he's the best defenseman right now going into that draft. Offensively, he's certainly that. Defensively, of course, he needs work, as I said before. Physicality-wise, he's good at that, but overall, as a defenseman, he's looking to be the best one, having the best talent in the draft so far, and he's looking to be a top 5 guy going on the draft, and certainly the best defenseman in the draft. And unless a guy like Antoni Honka has an amazing year again, or some other guy breaks out, Byram will definitely be the best defenseman picked in the 2019 draft, and he'll definitely have one of the best talent levels. And of course, good luck to him in the next year in the WHL, hoping that he performs as well, and hoping that he can improve his draft stock, because I like the guy, of course I love his name, and I hope that he succeeds, and I think that he will. He has that potential, and I think he'll improve on it. So that's going to be it for today, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, tell me down below what you think of these 2019 draft profiles. What do you think of Bowen Byram? What do you think of his talent level? What do you think he can go, and where do you think he'll go in the next 2019 draft? See you guys later. Goodbye.